What's up, guys? How we doing? And welcome back to another podcast. So today I have Alex on. Alex, if you'd like to describe a little bit about yourself, who you are, why you got into the industry, that'd be great.
Yeah, thanks for having me on your podcast. My name's Alex. I'm currently a personal trainer at Pure Gym. I've been there sort of like since October. Been in the kind of in fitness industry now for like a year and a half. Was previously at like another place, but I think we'll get into that in a bit. So just kind of cracking on at Pure Gym at the moment in Manchester City Centre.
So you said a year and a half. When were you kind of qualified? When was your first month for getting started into personal training?
Qualified in August 2017, and then went straight into a PT job in like September. So straight into it. It was at like a place in Knutsford, so it's like a small little sort of like hotel and spa, and it was kind of I was doing like PT on the side. So I quite quickly realised that I wasn't going to be able to potentially be a full-time trainer. It just didn't necessarily have the potential there. So I was doing like the sales memberships and things at the same time, and then like doing PT on top of that. So to be fair, it was quite long days sometimes because you're doing like your 40-hour job and then you've got say 20 hours of PT throughout the week. And I just felt like I'd taken it as far as I could. It was a great, like, I can't take anything away from it because it was a great, not like learning curve, but like exposure into PT, and like just gaining, like building up my confidence, building up my knowledge. And I feel like then when I moved to Pure Gym in the city centre, I had the confidence. I think if I'd have done that straight away, I'd have just got eaten alive. Like the biggest thing I think was doing classes and things, like because I'd done that and built up my confidence, doing then classes, like at the moment it's sort of like 50 people on a night time, that I'd have just been too scared. I had just broken. And then it was just that jump that I just was like, right, well, I want to be a full-time PT. I've taken this as far as I can, and I wanted to be in a like bigger place in like Manchester. That's where I like actually live, so I was always commuting to and from. So it just made sense to try and like make the jump in a way. But yeah.
And I think that's good. You kind of built that foundation. I think that's something that a lot of people can do, myself included. I just jumped straight into personal training, had no experience, and then you have to suddenly do like a consultation or something like that. Yeah. And you're just thinking like, it took me a while to kind of get used to it and stuff. But for yourself, you were dealing with people every single day. You were doing personal training on the side to then make the transition into like I want to be like a full-time personal trainer. So when did that come about? The Pure Gym?
October. So it's October 2018 is when I sort of moved into it. Yeah.
And how does that work? Do you pay rent? Do you do a certain amount of hours?
So how it works is you do. I don't know. There are a couple systems that do at Pure Gym, and it's like the one I'm at. There's a one in London, and I think Leeds or something. They're going through a bit of a new system, and the way it works is you do 3 5-hour shifts a week. And then you pay rent, but you get paid for your shifts. But basically the wage you get from your shift equates to your rent. So you're kind of working for free, but then they do it because then you obviously like, you can take holidays instead of beforehand. I think beforehand it was just like, you didn't get paid for your shifts and you didn't pay your rent. But then if you went away on holiday, it then like kind of affected you. I don't know the ins and outs, but they changed it over to that. And then after 3 months, they drop you down to 10 hours. Just because apparently what they've had in the past is if people stay on 15, they're not paying rent, they'll like adopt the attitude of just like, oh, it doesn't matter, I'll do PT here and there, like, but I'm not paying anything, so anything's profit. So like I've now dropped down to 10. So like I'm paying, it's still not much. I think it's like sort of £180 range, depending on like what month it is. And then obviously it's kind of like the world's your oyster in a way. Like if there's like lads there that are full time and like go, then they just pay that £500 rent, but don't do any shifts. But then it's kind of two and two, like if you do your shifts, that's your exposure on the gym floor. That's when you're doing classes, that's obviously all the new members coming in and doing classes. That's how you're going to get your coaching personality across. And even like your gym maintenance, like just walking around clearing up the gym, is then when you talking to people, trying to build relationships. Whereas like I noticed even sort of when I've dropped shifts that I know it's 5 hours, but you do notice that you lose that like gym floor time, and then it's more like up to you to actually go out your way to meet the people, like, and not just do it through your shifts. You've got to actually do that sort of lead generation thing and just be a bit of a face around the place. It's not as easy.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was the hardest part in terms of the gym that I'm at. Sweat exactly the same, 15 hours. We didn't have the option of the 10-hour thing, which I think is quite a good method of slowly then eventually going
you can reduce to 5 and then to 0.
Oh wow, so that's quite okay.
Yeah,
that's quite cool. So I'm guessing once you reduce down to 5, I'm guessing then you'd have to pay more on top.
Yeah, so I think it's like 180, then like 360.
Okay.
Well, no, that's not the right math. It's like around that sort of number difference.
Oh, that's quite interesting. But we literally just had the 15 hours or the £500 rent, and I think I don't mind saying £500 for yourself and for me, because I think that's for most gyms.
Yeah.
But I agree what you're saying in terms of the lead generation. I think most people, and I got hit at that last summer, I think, in terms of actually trying to find your own clients. I think I worked up the numbers. I thought, okay, I'll be okay. A few people dropped off, and I'm not ashamed to say this. A few people dropped off, and I'm thinking, oh God, like, where do I get my clients from? And you don't realise how important your classes are, and not just classes, but just being amongst people and speaking to people, being around. Yeah, people. A lot of personal training, unless they want a specific goal with you and what the skills you offer and the qualities you offer, they want to trust you. So if there's a woman that goes or a guy that goes to your class every single week, and they're thinking about personal training and taking the next step, they'll go to you straight away. If you weren't doing the classes, then they might go to someone else, and that's a big part of it. So
it's all about as well. Like at the end of the day, I don't mind saying, but like it's quite expensive to have a personal trainer. So it's like that monthly cost or whatever, however you do it, it's you've got to be providing someone with the best quality service, but you've got to make them know that they're going to have a quality service before they buy into you. Someone's not just going to walk up to you and say, I want to do 3 sessions a week, paying whatever, and I'm going to give you however much a month. Like, it just doesn't work like that. You've got to, it's that touch points, like constant, and then if you get someone coming to you wanting PT, it's because you've made those relationships before. So when they think, actually, I could do with it, I really should sort of crack on with it, then immediately they'll go to you because you've built that relationship up.
Yeah, I think that's the most important point. You can market yourself the best way possible, but I think that's one of the key ones in terms of actually just building that rapport and actually building that trust between you and the client. They need to know exactly. Obviously, personal training, they're looking, like I said, they're looking at your specific requirements of what you do as a personal trainer. But more importantly, if they don't like you as a person and they don't trust you, they're not going to invest in you, are they?
No.
So let's go back before you became a personal trainer. So I put a post up a little bit last week on my story in terms of I was a trainee teacher and I went into personal training. You were a very similar story. You were a trainee accountant, weren't you?
Yeah, so like my whole life was geared towards becoming an accountant. It just in my head it was, right, how can I have a successful life? How can I live the life I want to and have security? It was, right, I'll become an accountant. Like, my dad was an accountant. My older sister, she has become an accountant. She's still doing it. So I saw their successfulness. So it made me think, okay, well, I'll follow suit. So like I went to uni, business management, and then did like a finance conversion. So just everything was geared towards accountancy. And then it was like final year of uni, sort of, right, okay, like I think sort of January time of final year, I thought, right, well, I need to start now applying for jobs to do the graduate schemes in September, October time. And I was just applying to like PwCs and like Deloitte's, and I was just like, is this what you want to do? Like, really, really want to do? And Sarah, my girlfriend, she she sparked the idea of going traveling in my head. I'd never considered it at all. She just, I think like passing conversation was like, oh, I'd love to go traveling after uni. And then it just stuck it. I just couldn't get rid of it. And then it just became a serious thing. I was like, let's do it. Let's just go. And we went for 5 months, and it gave me the opportunity to just step away and completely just think, what do I want to do with my life? And like, I knew I could still have just a successful life doing what I love and I'm passionate for, and still love it at the same time, and do what I wanted to do. And it was like, no, I'm doing this for myself. I'm not doing it to make other people proud and not follow the system, but like be just the norm kind of thing.
Yeah, it's either, and like my sister's a teacher, so I'm in a similar position. She was in the same career. And it's not to knock or anything, but anyone that's in the industry, but it's either do you follow your passion and you have a goal in mind, or do you play it safe? So it's either a safe or a risk, and I think that's what you need to weigh up. You do need to have a long-term plan. You can't suddenly just wake up in the next day and be like, I'm going to be a personal trainer, which unfortunately I do think some people do live in a bit of a dream world in some aspects, but I do think that it's a risk versus reward. And do you do what you love, or
it's not easy, is it? Like, I think, and there's like, I can't off the top of my head, isn't it like 6-7 months or something that a PT like is the dropout rate? Just because I think it's people, I love fitness, I love going to the gym, I'm going to be a PT, but when you qualify, you really are running a business. And if you can't run a business, and you're a salesman, if you can't run a business and you can't sell yourself, you're not going to be able to. It's a shame, obviously, because if you could be the best PT in the world, but if you can't run a business and you can't sell yourself, then you're not going to be able to stay as a personal trainer. And I think that's why a lot of people drop out, is because they think it's an easy journey, and they think, yeah, great, I'll be a personal trainer, that'll be a bit of fun. And it's not at all. It's hard work, really hard.
I agree, and I think I always speak about this, about like qualifications don't mean shit, and you can be the most knowledgeable guy. But I do think that's why I'm so frustrated with the kind of the PT system as such, that it doesn't actually at any point say what you kind of have to do. Like, you can earn this amount of money a year, or you can earn this amount of money an hour with clients, but like, again, it's a bit of a dream world. It doesn't really happen like that. And I think you can be very, very passionate at what you do. You can be knowledgeable. You can be experienced. But like you said, I think marketing and sales plays a massive part in it whatsoever. So so in terms of the transition from being a trainee accountant to then going into personal training, what were the people around you, your family, friends, girlfriends? What did they kind of think? What were their opinions? What was that like?
So, well, it's similar with you saying on your post the other day, like with your girlfriends, like she was always my number one support, and she still is. Like, she was always the one that it was like, no, like, that do what you want to do kind of thing. And even like you said it in your post, it's like, because of that, it's like they do generate, so it's your motivation. You're like, no, I want to create this great life. Like, I want to do this so much for me, but I also want to create that for her as well. But like, I remember telling my mum and dad was hard, because again, my dad was an accountant. That was where I was going. So to then turn around to him and say, I'm going to be a personal trainer, and it's like, but what? Like, it was just question after question after question. And he was up for the football last night, and I saw him, and it's like, it's lovely now, because he proper like will give me a massive hug and say, like, I'm so proud of you, and I believe in everything like you tell me now. But he says it when you were first. He even said this yesterday, that when I first told him, he just couldn't understand it. And like, I think especially with the social media side of things, he couldn't get his head around how that was ever going to help my business. He couldn't see it, whereas he is now seeing it. And so that was the hardest thing, is it was my mum and dad telling them. And now, like, as I said, like, I wouldn't say not recently, but like, it took a while to really convince them now, and I know that now they'd back me no matter what, kind of thing.
Yeah, I was in the same position. I think I was in quite a weird one because me and my Mrs. Carly, we were living in London, and I rang my mum up, and then I said about personal training, and then the next step we were moving because they're from Ipswich. I'm from Ipswich originally. It was them moving to Chelmsford, and it was deposit on house, and it all happened so quickly. My mum was understandable. My dad was the same. He would support me throughout the whole process, but it was the same. It was a bit because I think it's a completely different generation. They don't understand.
Exactly.
And I remember talking to my mum when I was like 6 months down the line. I was like, okay, I'm going to get into this thing called online coaching, and my mum's thinking like, what on earth is he talking about? Not realising. And then she says, well, you got to focus on your personal training first, and you know they don't understand that you can make money online, and and they probably hear money online, they think scam. Like, what about your friend?
My mum was always like, what are you going to do? Like FaceTime them? What?
Yeah.
It's like, no, it doesn't work like
It's like just send one email and that's it. No, it's there's a lot that goes into it. It's but yeah, no, that's really interesting to hear. In terms of extended family, what do they think?
My two sisters, one I mentioned before, she was like, my oldest was a bit 2 and 2 was okay, and like at the time as well, now my brother-in-law, he was qualifying. He was thinking about qualifying to PT as well, but he was just thinking of a different route to what I was going down. And I think for my older sister, she was a bit, I think as well, like I don't know. I think you need to do it like that, like how he was thinking. And then my other sister, who's still an older one, to be fair, she backed me. She backed me straight from off because she became a nurse, and she knew what I like, my understanding with it all, and was like, no, I understand that you want to do something you want to do, and it's your life, like do what you want, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then apart from, I didn't really at the time, like there was no one else really.
Do you think that part of it as well, I guess to be an accountant you have to go to university, is that, or do you?
So you can't. This is what's the thing with account. Like you don't even need to go to uni. You can just go straight out of school, and then you do like your accountancy exams, and you can do like an accountancy qualification at uni, and you get like exempt from a few exams, but it's nothing massive. You still have to go through it's like three years minimum to qualify, and I think it's like 12-15 exams during that sort of period. And like you're still obviously working full time, and so it's a slog. It just wasn't for me.
Because I was going to say, do you think part of it is, again, a bit like a personal training qualification? You know, to graduate from uni doesn't really mean shit unless you get a job from it. But do you think it's partly because it's deemed kind of academic, and then when you go into something like personal training, because it's kind of fitness sport, they see it as like, okay, like he's just going from like a really good academic job potentially where he can earn a nice amount of money to like just personal training,
being in a gym. No, I know. I think it's that. I think.
Did you have any kind of like last point I make? Did you have any like kind of real negativity? If so, how did you kind of, not necessarily negativity, but questions, comments said? How did you kind of deal with that?
More like when I first sort of told my mum and dad, it was hard to like still believe sort of no, you're doing the right thing. I had a lot of times thinking like really, are you sure? Like, oh god, it messed with my head a lot, but I just stayed like, no, this is what I want to do. It's what I'm doing. Okay. And I just made sure it happened. I didn't like dwell on it. So it was like I came back from traveling, told them the day I got back. Then a week later, I was already onto a qualification course, and then like before I'd even qualified, I had a job. So it was just like I didn't give myself time to reflect on it. I just was like, right, I'm doing it, and I'm just gonna prove I'm wrong as soon as I can, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like if you make that transition as quickly as possible as you have done, I think it makes it a lot easier to get into it, and then when you next like see your family, extended family, friends, or whatever, you'd be like, okay, this is what I've done already, rather than
exactly.
I'm still getting qualified. And so as a personal trainer, how are you kind of like developing as a PT? So it's been since October, you said, at Pure Gym. In terms of you as a personal trainer and the skills and the qualities that you offer, how are you kind of developing? Like, where are you going for content? Like, are you doing any other qualifications on top? How are you developing as your personal trainer?
So I did quite a few straight off. I signed up for like the advanced sort of like qualification, but also I think the way I qualified was a joke, and this is why there's a problem with the personal trainers in the industry, because I qualified in 6 weeks. Like, it was just an intense course, and like a lot of people then get that qualification thing, that's it, right, okay, I've done it, and then they don't then back it up with all the I can say that, not to be cocky, but like I wouldn't say I learned that much on my qualification course. It was just reassuring to know, okay, actually I was on the right track, but it's a little bit more biological terms for everything. But then, so I did like other courses on top of that, like did a strength and conditioning course, which was then like a couple of months later. I did it like within the first month, 6 months of qualifying. I went on like a few extension courses just to get a bit more knowledge. But again, like, I wouldn't necessarily say I learned a lot on it. It was more than taking the textbooks and things that I've learned from that, taking it away, doing my research online, like reading ebooks, like not ebooks, like reading on Google Scholar, like what they call articles, like reading articles and things online, and even just Googling it. If you've got a question in your head, just type it into Google and you'll get the answer from somewhere. And better off than not, at the moment, you're able to then watch someone speaking to you through YouTube. So it's so much easier to get an understanding for anything. And I think it's that, like, I had a lot from where I was previously, just because of the demographic, and it was a lot sort of like older generation. A lot of people would come to me with, say, like lower back problems or knee issues, shoulder sort of niggles. So I learned so much, mobility, like injuries, and it was all just YouTube. It was all just typing as simple as exercises for knee pain, and just spending hours just seeing different things, and then would try stuff for myself, like see what worked well, and then to be honest, trialing things with clients, see what worked well with them, because one thing for someone doesn't then work for the same another person. So you've got to, it is trial and error in a way, because you might, especially with someone with an injury, you might try something and it hurts. So then you go, okay, well, we'll do something else, because it's all that different sort of like client. But I think you don't necessarily have to go on qualifications to get a certificate for a tick in a box. Just like research on the internet, it's got all the answers.
Yeah, that's a scary thing about it, in a good way as such. Because you have so many different platforms, YouTube, Instagram now itself, just on this app alone, everything else, Instagram, you have stories. What's the I don't use it myself. They do Instagram live TV. That's it. Yeah. Instagram lives where people go on and speak, and that itself, 10-15 minutes of watching a knowledgeable guy that's gone on Instagram live, like, you can learn so much. And you'll be very surprised in terms of actual qualifications. You're spot on. Like, you can have all the qualifications in the world, but I think it's really, really good in terms of what you've done by extending out further, because then you can kind of branch out a little bit more. In terms of social media, whilst we're on the subject of that, how do you think, how important is it in terms of building a business, one-to-one online coaching? Do you use social media, and how about do you go using it?
I think it's particularly I would say Instagram is like number one for just not necessarily, well, it is marketing, I suppose, yourself, I suppose. But like, I think especially if you want to take, like, there's, for example, there's people like guys in the gym, in Pure Gym, who don't necessarily do much on social media, but they're smashing it because they've been there for a while, they've got their client base, and everyone knows who they are. So they're not really thinking that, like, to be online, to doing all these videos kind of thing. So it depends what you're going for. Whereas, like, with you and me doing a lot of like trying to push the online coaching side of things, I think if you're not doing Instagram, I don't know how you would, or not just, but like social media, I don't know how you would generate the business, because you're not constantly pumping out content for free. It's all like what we were saying before about building relationships with someone in the gym and providing them with what's the word? Like giving them something, a value, that's it. Providing them with value so that they buy into you. It's almost like you've got to do the same on social media.
Yeah.
So when someone follows you, immediately that's a potential interest, and you've then got to you've got to add value to their life and let them learning something that they haven't learned before, so that then they'll go, actually, yeah, well, imagine if I was like paying and being coached by this guy, what the hell would he do then? And that's what you've got to try and make people think. And I think with Instagram, it's, as you said, like the amount of things you can do on it now, it's powerful, and it has overtaken Facebook, even in terms of like, you don't really, if you meet someone now, you don't add them on Facebook, you like follow each other on Instagram. That's just how it's kind of works now. Mm-hmm. And then like I also do a lot of YouTube. Well, I average sort of like a video a week. Ideally, I would want to be pumping out 3, but it's a lot of time for what it. And I even find I'm struggling sometimes. I think like you think like, God, I need to make a video, and you're like you can't think of an idea. So it's definitely better, I find, with YouTube specifically, to just plan a bit, and like each sort of like I absolutely swear by, I've got like just an A4 diary, and I genuinely couldn't function without it, and I'll just like plan my YouTube videos like throughout the month, and then it just makes it really easy. You think, right, okay, that's done. But in an ideal world, I'd want to be pumping out 3 videos a week. It's just having with everything else you're like juggling, it's having the time to then do that as well.
I think it's quite interesting that you said that, because literally this morning my girlfriend and I had a couple of clients, one-to-one clients, and I was getting my hair cut, and she's like, what are you doing for the day? And I said about the podcast and everything. She's like, you're going to do a YouTube video? And I was just like, yeah, but you kind of have to kind of plan. Like I feel like I feel like YouTube now, like with the views you get, unless it's a bit clickbaity, and that's a whole different story, and unless it's a bit clickbaity and stuff, whereas Instagram, you know, on your story, however many followers you have, you know, you can get 200, 300, 400, 500 plus people view your story, or you can put a lot of time into editing, your filming, editing, put the music. It does take a lot of time, and only get 50 to 100 views. So I know what I would probably rather do, but then like we said earlier, you could have that one video that it could go viral, it could help your business, it could boost your, I hate saying this, but followers on Instagram, it could just boost you as you could just boost your business completely. In terms of Instagram, what do you kind of do? Do you post quite regularly? Do you put sort of many stories up? I know I follow you and stuff, and I see it, but just sort of tell listeners.
Yeah, so I try. Well, not a try. Like I stick to 7 a week, so like 1 a day. I find just from like looking at analytics and engagement, it constantly changes though. Like I used to find posting first thing in the morning was good, and then it was weird. I just had a like sort of 6-month period where actually nighttime is better, so I was doing that. And literally in the last few weeks, I've noticed that actually it's got better switching back to the morning. So you have got to constantly be analysing and seeing what works and what doesn't. And when things aren't working well, don't just you've got to think, why isn't it working well? What do I need to change? And I try to stick to sort of 7 a week. Stories, I don't really have a set figure, but to be honest, the more stories, the better. Because I even find personally, like if I'm on Instagram, just like chilling, not trying to just like comment on other people's stuff and like build up the engagement, I find I just watch stories, and you almost watch stories to like learn and be entertained. So I'm like, if I haven't got a story up, I'm not going to pop up on someone's profile. And it's even the same with, I find if I put a story up saying new post, you get people from that story. Whereas if you didn't, because people then are flicking through, oh, he's done a new post, I'll click on that. So it's like you're promoting yourself within the app. Is nuts.
It's quite interesting what you said there in terms of you're flicking through stories and then something's of interest to you and you think, hang on, if it's interesting you as a consumer, what's it going to do as you as a creator? People are going to think that the same about you. And I think you're spot on. That's what I do in terms of stories, always like new posts, because now with the algorithm, well, it's been like that for a while, but with the algorithm and stuff, the people that perhaps aren't in the industry that are potentially a consumer of your content that you provide, they could have loads of people on Instagram and they might not go through their posts, but then they'll go through their stories. So, for example, if they didn't go through the stories, they could miss your posts. And I know, like, again, Instagram's another one where we could talk on and on about it. But I agree. I think if you want to know your audience, then you've got to find what works. Like you said about mornings, posts, and evenings. And I think it's so key to like just keep on top of the game, because a lot of people will be like, oh yeah, you're looking too much into it and you're talking about it too much and stuff. But at the end of the day, you put time and effort into posts and stories and what you do as a business, then why shouldn't you? People look at data all the time in any kind of job. It's the same kind of thing. Just because it's like, I think with Instagram as well, or not Instagram, social media as general, I think because perhaps, I don't want to say the word normal people, but people, obviously there's business and social, so we use it more for business, and there's a lot of people that use it for social, so I think sometimes people don't understand the
different,
Because
even the job at Pure Gym was literally because the manager was following me on Instagram, and then was following me, like sort of even like analysing me, what kind of person I was like, what kind of content I was producing. And then she messaged me saying like, would you like to come in for a chat? I think your stuff's awesome. I've seen you train in the gym before, and like I just wanted to like have a bit of a chat with you and see what you like, kind of thing. And then the rest was history. So it's like that. It shows that the opportunities come from it, and the more effort and professionalism you put into it, the more that's going to come off, and the more then you're going to get rewarded for it. That whole thing of like, the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out. But it is true. Like you saying, with people might say, oh, you're looking too much into it, and it's like, no, as you said, it's that's your business. That's your, like, you're going to treat it how you should.
Exactly. Right. I think it's quite interesting what you said in terms of her seeing either your story or a post and then saying coming for a chat, potentially offering you a job, which she did do. It just goes to show that anyone could be watching your story, and that's that's quite a scary thing to think about, but quite exciting because it makes you want to keep producing more content. And going back to the YouTube thing, that's why, for example, if I don't have an idea on YouTube or what I want to talk about, then I won't do it. And same with an Instagram, I won't think, okay, what should I post? I think most things, when I first started like doing Instagram and posting, I remember sitting there for ages, like tapping my fingers against the table, like, oh, what should I talk about? Oh, let's talk about those. Whereas now it comes so naturally. I don't know about you for yourself.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And it just flows, and you just, again, it's a bit like personal training, going alone and dealing with client consultations. It just all kind of flows. So I put my Instagram story about a couple of questions. I only did it earlier today, so I've got a couple here. The first question is, do you need personal trainer qualifications to do online coaching? What do you think? This question last week somebody asked me, and I said I don't think you do, but I wasn't sure of insurance. So if someone was following your plan and doing what you were saying, and for example they fall over and break their arm, I don't know, because you haven't got like technically like reps or not qualification, you know what I mean? Like insurance. I wasn't sure about that. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? Because like I sometimes think that as well, like of the big names in the industry, especially like some people selling all their plans and stuff. You do think sometimes like, do you have the qualifications to kind of back it up? But then it's like, as I've just said before, like it's a piece of paper, it's a tick in a box. Like if you've got the knowledge and you can actually show that you've got, like, you're a clever person and you've got the evidence like proven, then fair enough. Like it is literally like that tick in the box, a piece of paper that doesn't really mean that much in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I agree.
But I know what you mean. With the whole insurance thing, that's the issue you might have.
Yeah, I agree. I do think with online coaching as well. I tried doing online coaching just after the first 6 months, maybe like the first 6 months, first 3 months of being a personal trainer. And I feel like now my online coaching service is a lot better since being with clients, understanding.
Yeah.
I personally think you can just suddenly build a business. You see people like on Instagram really, really high up, they can just go straight into online coaching stuff. But I think, having that one-to-one and learning about people it's not a necessity, but it's a key skill to have.
Yeah, massively.
The second and last question, and this is a really, really good question actually, and we had a bit of this earlier when I mentioned it to you. Do you guys think starting as a trainer when young is a big advantage versus older coaches? Over to you, mate.
No, well, I think in this day and age, you're better off starting younger, just because there's far more potential with the whole social media side of things. Obviously the demographic is younger generation, so it's that has the more potential to take you places and open doors, whereas it really depends on what you want. Like if you're someone that just wants to be a personal trainer and wants to just go in a gym and train those clients there in the gym and build that community, then I wouldn't say it necessarily matters. And if anything, if you're older, you almost then have all those life experiences that it's because I always find you have to try and really be relatable to the client. So if you've got more experiences that you've had, when someone comes to you and says whatever, and then at least you can relate to that, whereas a younger person, you might not be able to. Like things like, for example, someone who has been and as a child, then is going to be able to have a better understanding of someone who is in a similar situation trying to get themselves fit again. They can relate to that, and they can then build that relationship with them a lot easier than someone like you or me that's a lot younger that is trying to relate to them but can't.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great analogy actually. I think like you said with some guys in terms of social media, you can have personal trainers that don't use social media and they just be outstanding personal trainers, and they know exactly what they're going to do. I think that's the same in terms of old. I think if you have your niche as an older coach and you know going straight into it, say you're 40 years old and you know exactly what you're doing, you're level-headed, you're switched on, then because like for example, I've been qualified a year and a half like yourself, and I know way more than when I did, but I was younger before. But I don't know whether but I don't know whether that's because I've kind of matured and I've kind of found where I want to go, or I don't know. It's a tough one. I think I don't know. Maybe if you start when you're older, you may have more times running out, so you put more emphasis into it than the younger coach. Good question. But I think but I think as long as I know I use the word motivation, but I think if you have a passion and motivation for it, I don't think it matters how hard you're going to give everything into it, and you're going to build a business. So, and that's it, mate. Thank you so much for coming to the podcast. Where can people find you on Instagram, YouTube?
So everything, I'm just Alex Fitzcleland. Across like Twitter, I'm every now and then tweeting. It's more about United, but and then like Facebook and things, it's just everything's Alex Fitzcleland. Mm-hmm. It's all nice and easy.
Okay, mate. Well, if you want to check out Alex's Instagram, YouTube, I'll put it all in the bio. So, thanks so much for coming on, mate. I really
Thank you
appreciate
very much for
that.
having me.
No worries, man. No worries. And yeah, we'll catch up soon.